Right, this is the my A2B Metro, Generation 1 converted to Generation 2, and I've done quite a few miles in it. The bike has stood up extremely well. I mean, to be honest with you, it's almost as good as new. But what's happened in that time? Well, first of all, obviously it was a Generation 1 when I first had it, and the key was down here, and the controller was in the motor, and it didn't have a display at the top here. So the problem with the one I had, and I think it's a problem that most people seem to have had, was overheating. The controller being down in the motor overheated, so I converted it into a Generation 2, which meant that we had a new wheel with a new motor. The controller was put under the stem here, and this display was added. So all of that equipment basically was supplied by the company, though I don't think they're in existence now, which meant that the key was moved to this position and taken away from here, which was a bit of a silly one because you kept kicking it with your foot. Now, to be honest with you, I've had very little trouble with it over the years. But what I have had is, well, first of all, recently, I've just had new pads fitted to the brakes. Now, it's a heavy bike, and I think probably the brakes get a fair amount of use. But over the years, I've had just the one set of pads, so I've now got new pads all round. I also, what else happened? There's been no other problems, I think, on that risk. There's no problem with cables. Everything works. Obviously, this is an older model, so it's got the throttle, so you can. This is not a pedelectric. This is a throttle bike. This is a really quality machine. I mean, you can just, everything is just solid on it. The gear changes here. You do that changes the gear. The only other problem, really, I've had a silly one, is this back bumper, fender here, rather not bumper, is a bit flimsy in the arm, and I had it fixed recently, and now it's rubbing on the wheel. So what I've got to do is I've got to cut through both of these arms and just extend them a bit. That's probably the best way out of this one. I've got the pannier, and I've got I've got pannier bags that go on the side of this that are waterproof. They're quite good. Now, this bike is fitted with 2 batteries. This one here, which you can actually take out. You charge it in the back, but you can actually remove that battery, take it in the house and charge it. And the other battery is in the stem. Basically, it's fixed in there. You charge it here. It's obviously got suspension in the back on the frame. It's quite sophisticated suspension, actually, and you've got suspension forks. So it's a fully suspended bike. Very comfortable seat. Now, I would say that if I'm not pedaling, I get about 20 miles from each battery. So you can go on a 20-mile trip and come back, or you can go on a 40-mile trip somewhere and then charge up at the end of it. But I mean, you know, with the 2 batteries, you're sort of guaranteed that 30 miles is going to be no problem, even if you're not pedaling. If you're pedaling, which I do, I tend to keep the bike in top gear, and I have the throttle partly open, and I pedal as well. That's sort of my normal method of riding it, so that I'm basically giving myself some assistance on the top gear, but I hardly ever change gear on it. If I come to a hill, I just pull the throttle open a bit more. This one is got the American spec on it. It will go up to 20 miles an hour. So it is a bike that I've been very happy with. I've seen the new Riese Muller one, the Supercharger, which has 2 batteries in it, and in a way it's a similar bike, a more modern design, obviously German bike, and I'm thinking of buying one of them. So I might really sell this and put the money towards getting that German one, which has got the same system. My wife's got the Bosch central system and basically the same sort of controls. I've got this other bike here, this one. This is a 1,000-watt off-road thing. That's quite a good bike. But anyway, that's my A2B Metro. I've had no trouble with the stand. I thought I would, but I haven't. To be honest, I can't think of any real problems that I've had now. The bike is just so well built. It's like a tank, really, which is partly its downfall, because it's a very heavy bike. It's not one that you're going to want to drag in and out the house or upstairs, because that would be impossible. What it is, it's like a moped with an electric motor, really. If you want to cruise or you want to commute, it's an ideal bike, absolutely ideal, and it's good for shopping, because the pannier bags that go on here are really, really large. You get a hell of a lot of stuff in them, and they just clip off. So that's the A2B Metro.